Hello everybody, it's Jeanette Vilda. Today's project is a design team project for My Porch Prints, and it has extra special place in my heart because this was also a little craft with me that I did with my nieces in Australia. So they really love making books, and so while I made my book, they made little books on their own, and we just had a blast. So yeah, that was just too much fun, and this is my part of what we did, and I love it. It is chunky. I might have gone a little bit overboard, but I just really couldn't stop. And I used the kit School Days, My Porch Prints. And also, so let's just start by looking at the little dangle. And let me go ahead and take it off because I'm going to want it off anyways when I open the book. I also used, she's got some really great kits for doing little mini books. This one is, I believe, the Sewing and the Pride and Prejudice. And so here is my little dangle. I put these little ribbons here, cut them in half first, and then knotted them together and knotted them again on the two sides. I thought it looked like little pigtails, little schoolgirl pigtails. So, and the colors I used throughout the book were pretty much, the vintage browns and everything from, the kit is very vintage, very browns and really gorgeous vintagey look. So when the splashes of color I added was primarily red and green and apple green, so that really vibrant, bright green, but mostly red. Apples for the teacher, so that was the idea, and so they thought it looked cute like little pigtails. And hanging on, we've got 3 of the little mini books. Like I said, I used the Pride and Prejudice and the Sewing, but in each of those kits you get these little lined pages and blank pages. So I didn't use the pages within the 2 kits that have the images that, for Pride and Prejudice, there's some really great images from the books. I primarily used the covers, and I believe this one is from the Pride and Prejudice. I don't remember now. And then highlight this one, and we've got this one. So those kits are really very versatile. So, here I've used them as just the blank pieces to make cute little school books hanging off. And tucked in there, we got a little schoolgirl. So these are her pigtails, if you will. Where else? We got a little schoolhouse. And I think the apple might be someplace else. So that's our little dangle. I just love these little books. And they're so easy to make. Really easy. And I'll show you how I attach them. So here on the cover, what I did was I just used my chomper, my crocodile, and punched a hole in the cover before putting in the pages, punched a hole in the cover. And this is actually, if you can see that, if hopefully it'll focus, it's a bead cap. So rather than use, just one of the little circles, I used the bead cap, popped that through the hole, and that made a really nice little thing to dangle off of my little chain. So I thought that worked out pretty well. So all of them have the little bead cap. All right, so that's my dangle. Put that to the side. And the one thing about this cover is it is fabric. So this was actually, here in Germany, there's a game called Skat. S-K-A-T, and I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but let's just go with it. And this was a old, I don't remember what the date was on it, but an old book that teaches you how to play scat. And so the cover is made to look like, the back of one of the playing cards. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I thought it went really nice with the kit papers. And this is just book tape. And so obviously the cover was only about this wide. Actually, I think I have it right here. Yeah, so the scrapbook. So pretty narrow. So just cut that out and made my own spine. And then, like I said, that's I stitched through the spine and then just covered it all with the book tape. So, but this is a cloth, and it wants to grab every bit of lint just floating. So it's like every time I touch the book, it's like I'm always dusting it off, but that's fine. That's fine. All right, so everything in here is, the kit has so many ephemera pieces. So I really, I did have some things in my stash that I added in, but there is just so much ephemera in this kit. And so I did add some scrapbook paper and then a few little odds and ends out of my stash. So for instance, this while ago at a antique store, I purchased, a card catalog drawer, just drawer. And in it was all these little cards from the card catalogs. This is actually metal, little metal tab on there. Oh, that made a cute little pocket. And this is from the ephemera kit. So, and that's from the ephemera kit. And a nice little pocket for tucking a library card. Let me see if I can manage to get this in. I don't want to zoom too far out so that you can still see everything. The kit has a lot of really great little tabs. And all I did, this one I don't have a little dangly thing on it, but I did really small little eyelets and put those in so that you can have a place to put a little dangle. The kit has a lot of these wonderful alphabet flashcards. And like I said, I added some scrapbook paper. This is actually scrapbook paper, just made into a little tag. And I did a lot of stitching. So all the stitching, sewing on my sewing machine was done with, again, the red thread to pull in the apples and some stenciling. The paper, this is not coffee dyed paper. I don't really like coffee dyed because of the acidic content. This is using alcohol ink. So same exact thing. Just like you did coffee dye, but instead of the coffee, alcohol ink. And let me see. The kit has these great little banners, and I just mimicked the banner with another piece for one of the multiplication flashcards from the kit and a piece of ephemera from the kit. Makes a little tuck. Now I did add in, I had the antique script papers. So I did add in some of the antique script papers, mostly because I just really love them. I use them in quite a bit of my projects because they make really great little background papers. So there are some of that. So I'll have a link to that kit as well down below. And this again is some scrapbook paper. I have some great school-related scrapbook paper lying around. And one of the tags from the kit, and I just backed it with some scrapbook paper just to give it a little more stability. And one of the ephemera pieces. I love this. I always blame my inability to tell time on the fact that I was getting my tonsils out when they taught time in school. So I'm just going to stick with that. It's not because I'm late or because I forget things. It's because I missed that time in school where they went over how to tell time. This is pages from a DDR book that I got from my husband's mother. So my mother-in-law gave me a bunch of little DDR books, and this one was a little school book, really cute. This is actually, so on the ephemera page, you have a lot of little cutouts that you can do, and I used quite a bit of them throughout. This one, instead of cutting out the individual pieces, I just made it into a box so that I could have a little tuck spot for this little card. And this is from, just cut out from some of the scrapbook paper. That's falling out of there. So that's from the scrapbook paper. It's a nice little tuck spot. And again, one of the little ephemera pieces for one of the cards. And there's a bunch of these really cute cards. I want to know what this is. And the bottom of all of them is, it's got these like almost like it's a code. You got to figure it out. I love it. I love those kinds of things. And here is a little tuck corner piece. And in the kit, there's a lot of these really great little words, school-related words that you can cut out and use. I love that. And this is just stitched together to make a nice little place to write. Here, paper. And you can see, I mean, I don't know if you can see that in the video, but this is from the alcohol ink, and it actually looks like little grains of coffee. I don't know what that phenomenon is, but when you put the alcohol ink in the water, it granulated up, and I loved it. So a lot of stenciling. I also found Once Upon a Time. This is from a book. It was a notebook from 1940s at some point, and it's somebody's notes from their math class, and whoever it is had amazing handwriting. Look at this. It's blank paper, no lines, but look at how perfect that is. I'm just so I thought perfect, fits in nicely in the book. And this is one of the little ephemera pieces. I had some muslin and just did some stamping on some muslin. Unfortunately, I tried to do red, but apparently I had some black on my stamp. So I thought I had stamped off, but just note that check before you stamp. But I think it turned out okay. And then we have one of the flashcards from the kit. Words, and then this is from my stash, just one of my little flashcards that I had. There's actually two pockets here, so one in the back and one inside there. And then oh boy, I want to say this was Paper Outpost. And I'm not trying to not give the right people the right recognition, but she had these little tucks, and they open up, kind of looks like a little envelope. And it's got I used a magnet. I liked magnets as opposed to, I mean, I have used some paper clips, but I really love magnets. And so you can tuck it over your page, and you can even tuck something underneath it. It makes a nice little place to doodle. And here we've got one of the great little, I don't know, you could use this as a journal card. I used them, it looks like a blackboard with chalk. I used them as pockets. A couple little cards. And some old map paper. I think this is another DDR book. And the colors on it were a little loud on that side of the page. This side was fine. So I just put some grid paper over it to tone that sucker down. I cannot keep this straight. This is another DDR book. This one is awesome, and picture show you, get to that. It's all about animals going to school, and they're just adorable. So all the little poems, whatever these are all about the little animals going to school. This is one of the envelopes from the kit, and what I did was, I don't know if you'll be able to see inside there, this is the middle of the signature. So I left it open, while I stitched in my signatures. And then once all the signatures were stitched in, I closed up the envelope. I did take off the flap from the envelope, just a little easier that way. But you can then tuck anything into a pocket. And so here's one of the pictures. So cute. I just had a blast with this book. Really adorable. Another map. And another cover-up of the rather ugly colors, but this time with a ledger paper. Some more scrapbook paper. And like I said, I made some dangles for some of the tabs and pulled in the green apple color, the red apple color. And this is another, so what it was I had one of those old smash books, and it had all of these tab dividers for the smash book, and I just used them throughout as journal cards, and here as a big pocket, so that's a nice pocket. And then some of the offcuts from the pages made into a little notepad here. Oops. And this is another stamp. I think it's Lily of the Valley, and onto some of the muslin stitched on. And this is one of my flashcards. This is one of the envelopes from the kit, and I just added a little washi thing there, and then used, so the same, so this is actually fishing line. I bind all of my books using fishing line. Highly recommend it. Really great stuff. Really strong. And I have never once ripped my paper with fishing line. I don't get it. I can pull like crazy and it never rips. And so some of the fishing line that I had left over, I just used to put on this little envelope. And this is actually, it's called camouflage fishing line, I guess, for, so you can hide it from the fishies. I don't know. Sorry about that. Let me pause. Okay, sorry about that. Mail delivery. All right, so I don't know where I was, but fishing line, camouflage, keep from the fishies, blah, blah, blah. All right, moving on. And this little image here is also from the scrapbook paper. I went through and kind of cut out some of the little images just to add in, but all the little words are for Kit. And this is a lot chunkier than I usually do. And here's that's it. See, they're like little code things. I still want to know what that is. And another little tag, one of the ephemera cards. Because there is just so much in that kit. And this is actually an envelope. So this is the other side of the envelope, and I just used a piece of matte paper to make a little pocket on this side for one of the flashcards. This is so cute. Some more of my scrapbook paper for one of my flashcards and the DDR page. Bunch of stuff going on here. This was from my stash, but this is in the kit, so a nice little thing you can use for a belly band, or like here I've kind of used it on the side as a pocket for one of my old postcards. And no clue, but that says 1988. So. And this is a Tim Holtz card. I just thought she was adorable. And all the little ephemera images, I just love those. I had a blast playing with those in this. Yep. And this is just an envelope that I'm going to scooch over here. I just attached a little bit of scrapbook paper and then used one of the really great images. And then here's another one of those pages, and I just did a little collage on it. And this is actually, so just a piece of ledger paper for another one of these little tabs from the kit. Here's my little apple for the teacher. And on this side we have one of the ephemera images. So cute. Little flashcard from a stash and one of the tags. And I backed all of those with some scrapbook paper just to, again, give them some substance. And I'm totally tilted. And this is the other side of that envelope for another one of the index pages. And you can see it wants to flop down because that is metal. It's a little metal piece. So just some matte paper and some scrapbook paper. And then here we have, let me take all these guys out so we can look at the pocket if I can get my hands on it. This is actually, I think, one of the ephemera cards, so journaling cards, and just a piece of scrapbook paper. And I just made it into a pocket and added a label from my stash to be a little pocket for one of the tags in the kit. I love this tag, little kid in the corner. And then another one of my flashcards from my stash. And this is actually the same as, you know, all of these little tab cards, but they were all punched to be put into the smash book. On this one, rather than cut off this side, I cut off the tab side. So it's these guys, but took off the tab. So just makes a nice little place to write. Some more scrapbook paper, a little pocket for another of the tags, and another of the ephemera cards. And this is actually oh boy, and I'm not remembering. It might even be, it's not, well, I don't remember. If you want to know, let me, I can let you know, but don't remember. I'm taking a little long here. Sorry about that. Let me speed up a bit. Ephemera card from the kit for another of the flashcards, and this is just some scrapbook paper made into a nice big pocket. And this is just a little banner I made from some scrapbook paper and one of the ephemera images, and it's just held on with a paper clip for one of the ephemera cards from the kit. Another of the little tabs with apple bead. And then here we just took one of the little images from the ephemera kit, made into a little pocket with some scrapbook paper. And this is one of the pages from that math book, and I just backed it on some scrapbook paper to give it some stability to be a journal card. And here's another one of those chalkboard into a little pocket. A little tag made from some scrapbook paper. And here I made a little belly band out of one of the labels from my stash, just for a little piece of scrapbook paper. And this is, oops, a little piece of glue there. And you can see this is where I got the little cat from before, from this piece of scrapbook paper. I wanted lots and lots of places to write, so this particular pad of paper had each page, the top had this little notch on it, so I just kept it on this one to make a neat little tag. A little belly band made from scrapbook paper and one of the little things from the kit. And we got a pocket going this way and a pocket going this way for one of the little envelopes. She always has tons of these really great little envelopes in her kits. And these are both from the kit. That's just some scrapbook paper. Speed up here. This was actually from, again, the scrapbook paper. Love this. It's from her kit. Another little collage made into a pocket from stuff from a kit. And see? What is this code? I have to know. And again, another of the banners from the kit. Just mimicked it with another banner to have some tuck for it. Ah, there it is. See? What's the code? And this just used a little bit of scrapbook paper and one of the words to make a little tuck so that this can open up. And scrapbook paper. Now they're the pockets for one of my flashcards. And here is a couple of pieces from the kit, and I just used a little flashcard as a little tuck. So, and it's just some grid paper up here. And it tucks in and that holds them in. And then there are two of these books. There's one, this little one, and it comes like this in the kit, and I just added some grid paper for a little notebook. And he's just tucked in here on a paper clip. And the paper clip, I just took some scrapbook paper and a little bit of ribbon and colored using some paint, a little apple to match the green. So there's my green. And then on this side, this paper clip is just holding another of those little tab papers. And I did some collaging with another one of the pages from the book of the little animals going to school. Too cute. And another one of the chalkboard into a pocket for a tag and a card. I'm sorry, this is, I ramble. It's going to be being too long. I'm sorry. And another of the tabs for a little cluster of beads. And then here's, this is actually from some, I think this is another one of the tabs, and I just cut off the tab and the, or it might be some scrap, I don't remember, scrapbook paper, but it's from my stash anyways. And then another piece from one of those tab smash book pages. And then just some craft paper, a little ribbon with a couple things from the kit from one of her flashcards. Yeah, please go in there. And then on the back cover, I found an old picture of a schoolhouse. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. That's actually, if I turn it to the side, maybe you can see that. I took a class on Skillshare on embroidering on photos and finally learned how to make French knots. So no, they are not consistent. Some of them are a little wobbly, but I'm so proud of myself for learning French knots. So, and in that pocket is one of the tags. And this is the other little book, the bigger one. And again, just added some grid paper for a little notebook. So that is my school days book. I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry it was so long, but kind of ended up being a gigantic book. Definitely go take a look at the kits. They are, well, the school days kit is just ginormous. Like I said, I had so much fun with that one. Her little mini books are a lot of fun to make. Really simple, and very versatile. So, and then, like I said, I also use the antique script. So go take a look at those. Give her some love. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.